Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we will be doing gameplay from the example of play provided in Italy 43 from Mark Simonitch and GMT Games. This is the Fifth Army's advance to the Gustav Line. It is a sequel of sorts to Salerno 43, which of course was slightly earlier. So this is a little bit later in the campaign here. And we are going to run through the extended example of play provided in the rule book, just to kind of give you a flavor of how the game works. So I'm zoomed out right now so you can see the entire map. Most of the action is going to start off down here in the south, where you can see we've got the German kind of defensive line running here from Benevento all the way over to Naples, and some units further back going up towards the Volturno River here, and then even beyond that, where they would eventually set up the Gustav Line and everything like that. This runs, well, the full game runs 32 turns. It starts on October 1st and runs through the end of 1943. There is an 8th Army boundary. So this is the 5th Army, the U.S. 5th Army. That does not mean it was only American troops. We did have the British here. There are some British units right here. The green are the Americans. We also have some French and Italians that will fight as part of the 5th Army. And I mentioned the 8th Army. That's, of course, the 8th British Army. There's a boundary line right here. Who knows? Maybe there'll be an expansion that will add the 8th Army's part of the campaign. Basically, we're not supposed to stray into 8th Army territory as the Allies. And if you do, if you're forced that way through retreat or whatever, you will have to make your way back across the boundary, back into the U.S. 5th Army's sector as soon as you can. All right, so let's get this started. I will zoom in to kind of show a tighter look at the action as we move along. We have zoomed in to a closer look at the front line. So the Germans will go first. This is the German player turn 1. In their initial phase, normally the sequence of play would be place reinforcements, but there aren't any. The remove or withdraw units, also not this turn, as we're just starting out. No replacements. And flip ASUs, those are artillery supply units. The German player has 1 supply point. He uses it to flip the 14th Panzer Corps ASU to its ready side. Now the supply track is off that way. You could see it in the previous shot, but this is the German supply marker here for 10th Army. It was on the 1 box. I'm moving it to the 0 box. This is your 14th Panzer Corps here. Okay, this is the front side. And this was the fired side, which is where it would start. So I'm going to flip that over. And it was right there, I believe. So as I think I mentioned, the Germans initially, they're going to try to do kind of a fighting withdrawal up here towards the Volturno River, which is a good defensive. You'll make the Allies attack across the river. So it's a good defensive area. We have a lot of plains, open plains in here. You can see there's elevated hills and stuff. The key thing in this part of the campaign, right? We don't want to have, as the Germans, you don't want to get stuck fighting out here on the Campania plain. You want to get back to more defensible terrain, which is up north. So I'll keep my hand out of the shot here, but you can see the German line running along here, all the way over to Benevento, as I mentioned before. The Germans are also going to have some units removed over the course of the first 10 or so turns, and then after turn 11, they'll start getting some reinforcements, and that will help them to build up a stronger defensive line. Meanwhile, the Allies will have rainy, muddy weather to deal with, and they're a little bit thin on the ground here as well. They will also, of course, get reinforcements and slowly build their strength. So here is our terrain effects chart, as you can see, and we'll be using this for our movement. You do get 2-player aids. I did do a first look at this. This is the other side, but it also opens up, right? And you got your sequence of play in here, as you can see. There is no weather turn for this. Well, there is, but it's predetermined. And you've got all of these tables and so on in here. So I have one on this side of the board with the TEC, and that side of the board I have the combat. The front of it, which has the CRT on it, and the determined defense and modifiers and so on. Okay, so let's start moving our units. We're going to take this guy right here, and he's going to go 1, 2. Okay, his movement factor is a 6. He was moving in hills, which costs for him, because he is a mechanized unit, it would cost him 2 points. So that would be a 4-point move. And then we're going to move this unit here is going to go here, here, and 1, 2, 3, the Frata Maggiore here. Okay, and then we've got a unit up here that we're going to move down this road and put him here as well. And we're going to add a third unit that's going to come from right here. This bottom unit is going to move up into this hex as well. Okay. And then this 1, 2, 6 unit is going to go 2 hexes and get on the other side of the minor river here, right? Which is actually the Lugni Canal. Probably read that wrong. Let's see. What else do we have here? There's a lot of movement going on. I'm going to take this unit, the 445 unit here. He's going to go here. And this other unit is going to go, where is he going? He's going, hang on. He was here, I think, right? Okay, so this unit used tactical movement because it was a short move where you can always move 2 hexes, so he moved here. Okay, then second, we wanted to move someone into here, and that is a tank unit. That's where this guy goes, so he's going to go there. Then we moved here to move the 3 units that moved here in the city hex to form a strong defensive position. They have a total of 7 strength points, which gets doubled for city terrain to 14. With no supply points or air units, the best allies can get against this hex is a 1-1 that would be reduced to 1-2 if the German player opts to use his 14th Panzer Corps ASU, which is over here, to give defensive artillery support. Then let's see. Next, we have this here. These are 2 units of the Hermann Goering division that moved there behind the canal. And they also get doubled on defense because they're behind the canal. The best allied player can get here is 1-1. So see, what you're trying to do as the Germans, right, is put yourself in a great defensive position where you can get good odds. In reading the designer notes for the game, the key one of the key things that was mentioned is that you're going to have a lot of 1-1 combats that the Allies can offset by using elite units and air power, naval bombardment, and their ASUs, of course. Okay, so then we're moving to the east, and we're just going to drop this guy back 1 hex so that he's in better defensive position there. They're on the ridge. Then, let's see, we're going to move some units back as well. We're going to move this guy back. We're going to move these 2. Well, let's see. One goes... I think I messed up the initial deployment here. Yeah. So this guy goes here, and this ASU from the 26th Panzer Division, he's going to actually be up here, right here, along the river. And then these 2 guys are going to jump across the river and go up here behind Benevento. And that would complete the German movement. So the German is going to start construction of 1 level 1 fortification on the Gustav line. That's not shown in the book. But the thing about the Gustav line is you have to build it as the Germans, and you start with a level 1 fortification, which looks like this. This is the counter for it. And it starts on its construction side. And once it's done, you have 8 of these and 4 level 2s. So you're going to try to build 2 defensive lines just as the Germans did historically. That's the recommended strategy anyway. And the key thing with the Gustav line is you cannot complete construction of any of them until all of them have begun construction. So you have a lot of construction that you need to do as you're going along through the game. All right, so there's no combat, no disrupted units, so the combat and recovery phases are skipped. the supply phase. All of the German units are in supply. They are each within 5 hexes to a road and then an unlimited distance along the road to a supply source, which is the north and the east for the Germans in general. The Allies can trace from Naples, and they can also trace from the southern, the red areas down here. So that completes the German player turn. We go to the Allies now. So they are going to actually get reinforcements, which will go into the S1 and S2 areas, and they will be allowed to move with their full movement allowance during the following movement phase. As is generally the case with these games, in this series, you get your campaign game setup and reinforcements. Here's turn 1. You can see these 4 units. They're all British units. You can see also that 3 of them start off on their reduced side, and 1 comes in at full strength. These all appear at S1. They said S2 in the example, but none of these arrive at S2. They all arrive at S1. In turn 2, we're going to get these US units that will arrive in S2. So I'm going to put all of these units for now. I have the stack right here in my hand. I'm going to put them on S1. So they are ready to be added to the mix. Okay, so the Allies get there's no removal or withdrawal of units. There's no replacements. They have a rain turn this turn. That's the weather. And the Allied players receive no supply points. So the Allies have no supply points. Therefore, they cannot use them. They don't have them. They can't use them. So you may also, actually you can't see it, but the Allied support markers, like this is the naval one. It's just off shot. Then we have British air and American air. They are all on their used side and cannot be used this turn, which is a moot point anyway because they don't fly in the rain. Okay, so now we'll move to the Allied movement phase. So a couple of notes for our movement phase. These 3 units, they're American airborne. They cannot move. They're locked in place because they were historically kind of restoring order to Naples, which had just recently been captured. So a lot of the movement's going to come initially. Our initial movement that we're going to do this turn is the newly arrived British 46th here, as you can see. Now, they don't have enough movement to actually get up and get into the zone of control of these enemy units here to make an attack. So they have to use regular movement. And instead of starting them here in the center on S1, we're going to start them here because then we can go. They each have a movement allowance of 3. 1, 2, 3. They can get into Naples, and they can actually spread out as well. So they're just going to come into Naples here, where the Americans are. These 2 units here are going to go kind of through Naples and stop here to be adjacent to these Germans. By going this way, like this, they avoid getting into the zone of control here, which is in worse terrain. So, and then this one is going to go, he's going to move this way, 1, 2, and stop there. And then I think this guy didn't go into Naples. He went here. Actually, no, these 2 are swapped. That and that. These 2 are here. We're also going to move this guy right here, the 169th here. It's going to come up here as well. Okay, now we're going to move this big armored unit is going to come up adjacent to this fine fellow right here. And then these 2 will move up. This one, 575. Yeah, he goes here. This one actually goes up in this direction to Aragola. And then we have the Americans here, this 673 right here, which is the 30th Regiment of the 3rd Division. He is going to go here between these 2. Actually, this guy supposedly I thought was supposed to back up to there. I must have missed that because looking at the image, that's what it's showing me. And these 2, and that one stays. This one's going to stay here. These 3 are going to move up here. Now the stacking limit rules. So let's just talk about that really quick. So here you have 2 units, right? These are the 7th and 15th regiments of the 3rd Division. They both have this 3 in a black box. That's their stacking size, which is a total of 6, which is the stacking limit. But they have this support unit here, right? This does not count. You don't see a stacking number on there. So it can be with them. And as you can see, it is a battalion. So it is attached to them, essentially. And then we have this guy here. He's going to move up to, it looks like right, well, it looks like here, but I didn't see this guy move unless, let me check. Oh, he did move. So he moved up, moved here, right there. So he's going to move there. And then we have these 2 here. So that is the end of Allied movement. Now we're going to do some combat. So in this game, you have your main assault force, which is kind of your lead unit, as it might be called in some other games, right? So your main assault force is a regiment. The 7th Armored Division is the main assault force. That's these guys right here. No, where am I? Oh, over here, sorry. So this is the British, rather. 7th Armored, and they have 1 brigade of the 56th with them. Okay, so they're going to attack that stack right there. So the 7th Armored Division is the main assault force with a regiment of the 56th attached. Notice that British and U.S. units may not participate together in the same attack. So this is an all-British attack. We do have an American regiment sitting right here, but they're going to join together with their fellow division, 3rd Division members here and attack that German unit, I'm pretty sure. So these 3 are attacking there. Now this is a pretty good punch here because this unit is very strong. And so let's see what we've got here. The attacker strength is 21. Now the cap is 20, so it becomes a 20. And the defender strength is 10. So just to show you what the defenders are here. Got 1, 2, and 1. But they are in an area where they would get a bonus, I believe. The German player uses his, oh, I was looking at the wrong number. So you got a 2, and on this one you have also a 2. So the German player is going to use his Nebelwerfer, which is right here, to provide additional support. So that's going to give a shift left, right? So we were at 2-1, so we're going to get a 1-1. The die roll, it says, is a 6. Now, if we look at our CRT, here's the 1-1 column, 6. We got DR2, advance 2. So that's going to be defender retreat 2, right? The defender must either retreat 2 hexes and become disrupted or conduct a determined defense. The attacker may advance if the defender retreats. So the German is going to elect to retreat, and he's going to just go up this way, I'm pretty sure. 1, 2, straight up. And gets a disrupted marker. Okay, so we will advance here. He's going to cross. This one is going to go there, and then this one is going to go here. You can do that, spread them out like that. Okay, next we're going to attack here. Now, looking at this hex, you can see there's a pass here, but this is a mountain hex side, this darker green. So there is no mountain terrain, but there are mountain hex sides. Mountain terrain is treated as a hill in the game. It's more about attacking across the hex side and moving across a hex side as far as the impact on gameplay. So these attackers are going to be halved because of that mountainous hex side there. So the vehicle unit can attack across that mountain hex side at the pass, which of course is this guy. The rest of them are infantry. So infantry can attack across a hex side without a pass. Vehicles require a pass. So the odds are 10 to 6, which is 1 to 1. So we add these up. We've got 2, we got 6, 12, 18 plus 2 is, of course, 20. That gets half to 10. Their defense strength is doubled 3, which is a 6. So that is 1 to 1. And the die roll is a 3. And if we look again at our CRT here, you can see 3 is an exchange. Okay, so with the exchange, the German unit is reduced, so he gets flipped and gets to choose which and the defender, in this case the Germans, gets to select the Allied step loss, for which he selects one of the infantry regiments, rather. So we'll just flip one of these guys over. Take this one. And no retreat or advance. Now we're going to go all the way over here to Benevento, sorry. The Allied 45th Division, the American 45th here, right here, is going to attack, it could attack the reconnaissance unit at Benevento. The odds would be 9 to 6, which is 1 to 1. Since the German reconnaissance unit will soon depart, it's going to be removed. And the rest of the 45 arrives next turn. It's probably not worth pushing it, so there will be no attack. So they, as we just saw, this would be a 9 to 6 because he's got a 3 there. So that is that. So Allied recovery phase, no Allied units are disrupted, so the phase is skipped. The Allied supply phase, all Allied units can either trace 5 hexes to a supply source or 5 hexes to a road that leads to a supply source. So all Allied units are in supply. This concludes the Allied player turn. We advance to turn number 2. Okay, weather phase. Okay, so here are our supplies and victory point track, and here's the weather track. Now the weather for the turn we just did was rain. So we're going to roll for rain, and the roll is a 3. That moves it. Now you can see here the die rolls. At least I think you can see this. It's small, but a 1 is no movement. A 2, 3, or 4 is 1 movement to the right, and you would also be able to flip your naval Werfers and your heavy howitzers. They did use their naval Werfer. I forgot to flip it, so let me do that. Right now, with the 3, we're going to move this over 1. Right, and so now we're rain and mud, which will cause all attacks this turn to suffer a negative shift left on the CRT. The Allied player receives no supply points due to the weather, while the German receives 1 supply point. So we're going to take our 10th Army and move it there. The 5th stays put in the 0 box. Okay, since the die rolls a 3, he can flip his naval Werfer, which is this one right here. It was used, now it is no longer used. I'll put that back. Okay, so German initial phase. Reinforcements, none on this turn. And, well, you can see it right here. It does, we're on turn 2. There are no German reinforcements, but it does say Corsica is liberated by the Free French. So in this turn, they don't get any reinforcements, but they do get 2 units released in Hex 2706. We'll talk about where that is here in a moment. No one gets withdrawn. The Germans receive 1 infantry type replacement he uses to bring one of the battalions of the 15th Panzer Grenadier up to full strength. Note that an infantry replacement may not be used for Fallschirmjäger battalions or reconnaissance units. Those require special replacements. So the 15th Panzer Grenadier is just on the other side of the Volturno River up here. There he is right there. They used one of their replacement points. He's reduced. Now he is no longer reduced. I'm going to put him back up there. and he's now at full strength. So now we will move on. So the German player has one supply point, and this time he's going to keep it and not use it. We do have our naval Werfer here that is available for use because we got the free flip due to the bad weather. Now we go on to the movement phase. So there is a negative CRT shift, as mentioned, for rain and mud. That gives the Germans a little bit more protection this turn, so he can afford to hold the line in a few places. One note about that Panzer Grenadier up there, he is frozen and cannot move. Okay, so they will stay there behind the rivers. Now, looking at some of their other ones, this guy is in pretty good shape, but they're just going to pull back to avoid encirclement because the Brits have got them penned on both sides there. So we're going to move them back. We're going to take this unit that's here. He's going to go up the road to Capua. And these three are going to move back to Aversa. So they get that city bonus for defense. Then the units that are here, that are right now adjacent to the British 7th Armored Division, they're going to kind of skedaddle up the road to Caserta, which is where the headquarters is. The headquarters is going to actually relocate behind the river up here, or actually no, it's going to join that tank unit in Capua is what it's going to do. Then let's see, so these guys retreated up here to Caserta, and these guys here that are disrupted, they're going to move back as well, moving up here. And this one is going to go there. And this fired HQ, which is the Hermann Goering Division, is going to move up and end up adjacent to its buddy right there, just on this side of the river, adjacent to the 14th Panzer. And I think that, let's see, what else did they do? This guy moves back. And this guy moves up and back. And these two are going to stay where they are, looks like. No, they're going to move up one, and he's going to retreat one. So they're basically ceding Benevento to the Americans here. So the Germans will start another one-level fort up north. And as I mentioned earlier, all 8 first-level forts must be started before any can be completed. There is no German combat phase. The German recovery phase, we removed the remote replacement marker, and 2 disrupted units recover automatically since they're not adjacent to an enemy unit. So these guys get undisrupted. And yeah, they were here. So German supply phase, everybody's in supply. We don't have to worry about anything there with that. You may wonder why they elected not to flip any of their HQs, like this one and the other division, and that is because we're at the end. Well, you can't see it anymore, but we're at the end of the weather track, and so next turn it's going to go back to the to A, which is clear. Assuming we don't roll a 1, it should flip back, and when it does that, all division ASUs are flipped to their ready side. So they get a free flip and don't have to spend supply points. They can keep that supply point in pocket for later. So the Americans get some reinforcements this turn. We get the 45th Division HQ, the 3rd Division HQ, which both come in fired. That's how they come in. So basically that just is kind of like a used status. Then we've got 2 more regiments of the 45th Division, a couple of vehicle units, sorry, a couple of battalions of tanks, I should say, right? And then we've got the, what is that, the 100th Regiment, 34th, oh wait, that's a battalion. So we got a battalion here of the 34th, all right? So let's go through where everybody ends up now. So with the Campania plain so lightly defended now, we're going to just start moving some units up. So we're going to move this guy up here. That's the German, actually. Sorry. He was supposed to retreat, and I forgot to do it, but he did move that. But as I was saying, the Brits are going to start pushing men up, pushing their units up onto the Campania plain. So, as I mentioned, we've got a bunch of dudes here that are going to move on up. So this armored unit right here, he's going to move there. This unit is going to move here out of Naples. The 226, he is going to move up next to this guy as well. Then we've got our 353s here. This one ends up here. This one also ends up there. Okay. And then we've got this guy. He's going to move up the road this way and end up on top here with that other unit. And we also have a 325, another 325 that ends up there. That would be this guy. So he's going to move up here as well. And let's see. He moves up this way. This guy moves here. This guy goes here. It goes to Frada Maggiore. And let's see where. Oh, we had a couple of British HQs come on as well. One is going to be 7th Armored is going to set up right here in Afragola. And the other one is the 56th Division. Of course, that's these guys. They are going to be right adjacent to them. And of course, as I mentioned, they come in on their fired side. So then our 3rd Division is going to end up right here. Now they can enter on any of these red hexes, the S1 side or the S2 side. And the other American HQ, you don't see it. Where did he come in at? Well, this one is the 45th Division, which I think is on this side. Yes. So he's probably going to end up over here somewhere. I just don't see it. I'm going to put him right here for the moment. I don't see it on the image here. Okay, so let's see. We've got, I think the Brits are all, no, this guy's moving up here. Now he can move out of the EZOC of this unit, right? And then follow the road. And he ends up here. The Americans are going to push up like this. Oh, actually, this guy goes with, whoops. 453 ends up with this one. These two end up here. Okay, so that's our 3rd Division right here. Then we have a piece of the 34th over here. We're getting another piece of the 34th this turn coming on as a replacement. They are going to end up, oh, let's see, right here on Mount Taberno is where the 443 goes, and the other guy is going to be right there next to him. Then our 45th Division, we're going to take Benevento. And let's see, which units are those? We've got, yeah, 663, one of our reduced. And that guy there. Then this blue one is going to be here. Now again, they're just moving up off the bottom of the board here. This guy goes here. And this one I don't see see. Oh, he's over here in San Martino, I think. No, this one. That's where he is. Okay. So he's kind of in an area where he can support here or here probably. And then, like I said, I'll just keep the 45th Division relatively close by to its constituents there. We got to look at potential combat here. So it looks like with the Germans are going to lose some units on turn 3. So their line is going to be pretty thin. So there's no real pressure for the Allies to attack this turn. But they can apply some pressure in some areas because we've got some good situations in a couple of places here. So what we're going to do is here we have a situation where they're in a city, I think, right? Oh no, they're actually out and on the plain. So that's not really a good defensive position for them. So they're going to end up with a 10-3, which is a 3-1 ratio. The negative weather shift is canceled by the tank shift. So I didn't talk about tank shifts, but if you're familiar with the system, you know what it is. One side has armor, the other side doesn't. In cases where both sides have armor, the one that's stronger will get the shift. It's also possible neither will get a shift. They kind of cancel each other out if they're the same, or the defender can get a shift if his armor is either better than the attacker's or the attacker doesn't have any. In this case, the defender, the Germans do not, the British do. So they get the shift, a die roll of 6. So we had a shift to the left for the weather and a shift back to the right for the tank shift. We stay at 3-1. The die roll is a 1 at 3-1. I'm sorry, the die roll is a 6, and that's a D1 advance 2. So this is a reconnaissance unit, and it can ignore the step loss because it's reconnaissance. So it is going to retreat at 2 hexes to 1918, which is right there. And we get a disruption because they were forced to retreat. And the Allies can advance if they so wish. And they do. So these guys are going to move up there. They're going to move there. And that's sideways for some reason. And this guy stays where he is. Oh, actually, no. Let's see. What we end up with is this. And these guys go here to Averna to put these guys in a situation where they are essentially surrounded, because we have EZOCs on all sides, right? Because the units are here. We have an EZOC here. This unit exerts one here, and that one also exerts one here. So that these guys, they are completely, and we have one here as well. They're completely surrounded with EZOCs here. We let's see. We don't do anything there. And let's go over here. So they're in a hill, on a hill. So they get doubled. So he's reduced. That's a reduced Panzer Grenadier Battalion. He's doubled in a hill hex. The odds are 20-4, which equals 5-1. The weather will bring it down to a 4-1. The Germans will flip their Navalwerfer back to used for firing and support. That'll make it a 3-1. Another lucky die roll of 6 is D1. The German battalion's eliminated, and the U.S. units involved may advance 2 hexes. However, terrain and the enemy units allow them to only advance 1. So this guy gets eliminated. There is an eliminated box. Put him in there. And the Americans may advance. So we will move these 2 up here. Because again, this doesn't count for stacking. So even though that's a 6 now, this is still a legal move here. Actually, they're going to go, I think, here. And this one moves up 1 as well. Yep, right there. Okay. All right, so we have one more attack here, which is the 45th Division over here. So they have an independent tank battalion attached. They're going to attack the reconnaissance unit. That guy right there. And the odds are going to be 19-6, which reduces to 3-1. Rain and Mud makes it 2-1. Die roll is a 5. DR2, advance 2. The defending unit's going to retreat 2 hexes and becomes disrupted. So they're going to get disrupted and retreat 2 hexes. They can retreat through their compadres there. And the Americans may advance. They will do so. So they're going to advance up this. And that guy goes there, and this guy goes there. Now, none of these attacks were worth considering a determined defense for the Germans. Too many determined defense is a good way for the German player to attrit away his army. Wait until the fortifications are reached, you have plenty of supply, or the hex really needs to be held. So your initial strategy from the German side essentially is going to be kind of a delaying action, moving back, trading ground for time, basically, to get your fortifications built so that you'll have a strong position to hold once we get into the mid-game around turn 11, 12, and so on. We go to the recovery phase for the Allies, no disruption, so the phase is skipped, and all Allied units are still in supply. So that concludes turn 2, and we will now go to turn 3. And on turn 3, our weather roll is a 5, and a 5 causes it to move 2 places. So it's going to move back to A and then to B, which is clear. And all division ASUs will get flipped to their ready side. And because of the weather, the Allies get 2 supply points this time, so they actually have some supply. And the Germans get, I believe, 1. Yep, the Germans get 1. So both sides have 2 supply points. The Germans do not get the free flip for the naval Werfer because it was not a 2 to 4. So his fired naval Werfer is going to stay that way. And let's see. So yes, this is the German turn, right? So the German player has 1 reinforcement, which he places in the N2 entry area, which is all the way to the north. And that unit is this one right here, part of the 3rd Panzer Grenadier. Okay, and it's going to go into N2, which I'll just leave it out, and we'll talk about its movement. So we also have 2 units that are going to be removed this turn, and that is done immediately regardless of their position on the board. One's already in the eliminated box. That would be this guy. The German has to forfeit his replacement because of having this unit not available for transfer. So if you end up with a unit that's going to be withdrawn to move to another front or whatever the case may be, and they're in the eliminated box, you have to pay for that with a replacement point. So the Germans lose their replacement point. And we go to the other unit. So the removals are up top here, and the other unit is a Fallschirmjäger. It is looks like 3rd Battalion, 1st Regiment of the 1st Fallschirmjägers. So let's see if I can find that guy here on the board. As I can, he's right here. 3rd Battalion, 1st Regiment, 1st Fallschirmjäger gets removed. So that weakens the Germans, obviously. He did forfeit his replacement, as I mentioned. So we're going to flip ASUs with supply points, but he's going to save them. We do get to flip the divisional ones for free. So that one would be flipped, and this one would be flipped. No, that's the Fallschirmjäger. It's this one that would be flipped. Yep, the 2 divisionals are flipped. The 14th Panzer Corps was already flipped, so we don't have to worry about that. So the only one they don't have available now would be that naval Werfer. So let's see, German movement phase. So A, the reconnaissance unit continues to delay the Brits. That's this guy right here. He is going to move up to this hex to continue his slow retreat towards the canal and hopefully slow down the British. And the next move is we have these German units right here. And they are going to also retreat to here. And we're going to give them the support of this unit, this tank unit right there. So they basically just moved out of the city, right? Yep, that's what it looks like. Looks like they moved out of the city to here. So you can move from an EZOC into an EZOC, I believe. And apparently that would be the case. The two German units stop by EZOCs after moving one hex, and so will conduct a disengagement attempt in the combat phase. So they're trying to get back. That's what that is. That's setting up a disengagement attempt. So we'll get to see that. The German player could attack the British unit and advance backwards if he feels lucky. In that case, the odds would be 6-7 with shifts for tank, elite, and artillery, a 3-1. He will take the safer course and attempt a disengagement. Then looking at C, which is these two in Caserta, they are going to move up to Capua to get out of Dodge. And then D, turn 3's reinforcements on their way to the German left flank. All three Panzer Grenadier units should be sent to the American sector. So that's this guy right here. And he comes down and ends up here. He ends up here. And this guy goes across the river to join him. Okay. Then we've got, let's see. Oh, the Caserta units actually retreated this way. This guy is going to come. Wait, I'm missing somebody here. Yeah, somehow I had the units that were here. They must have gotten knocked by my hand or something. They were back up here. These guys moved down. This guy goes across the river to there. And these guys go, they go, wait. Okay, so it looks like these guys go up here to Capua. They stay there, and these guys move in here to be a holding force. Okay, and that, I think, this guy goes back. This guy is going to move here. They're going to move on the other side of the river. And these two are going to move back behind the recon unit. And that completes the German movement. So with plenty of hill terrain, the German player can conduct a slow retreat while also bolstering the line with the two 3rd Panzer Grenadier units moved from Amarosi, those guys right there. Okay. So in summary, we will end the extended example here with both sides in good shape, with the weather cleared up, air units available, and all Division ASUs ready. The Allied advance will now speed up and be brutal. The German player will not be able to stop the Allies from crossing the lower Volturno River. And that is not such a bad thing, since it will release the 15th Panzer Grenadier units further north. So what we're talking about there, just so you know, so here's the Volturno River, okay? Now, these units don't get released until the Allies cross the river. So if they cross, they're going to likely cross in this area. Once they do, that will release these guys to actually start moving. Now, we talked about the disengagement, right? This is actually an optional rule, but you can see it right here. So it's a way for a phasing player to retreat during the combat phase. Right, so the units that we're trying to disengage are these guys right here. And you would see the die rolls that would need to be made. 1 or a 2 is a fail, 3 is a success, and you lose a step. 4 to 6 is simply a success. Anything less than 1 is a 1, anything more than 6 is a 6. You get a +1 if the unit's mechanized. And one of them is +1 if it's elite, and a -1 if it's low quality. So looking at these German units that would be attempting this, there are 3 of them, I think. We have, this one is, of course, mechanized. Then we have this guy and this guy. And I think so. Yeah, so we would roll separately for each one, and then based on that die roll, if they end up with a 4 to 6, they would get to retreat further. A 3 would mean they would retreat, be able to retreat, but they would lose a step, and anything less than that would be a failure. That is going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you found it useful. I know I stumbled around a little bit. Sometimes it's hard matching the picture to the board, but all in all, I think it went pretty well. The system is not overly complicated, so it is fairly easy to pick it up. But I figured I would do the example of play because it kind of goes through various things and kind of shows you what's going on. So that will do it. As I said, we are done. Thank you for watching. Quick shout out to my channel members. Appreciate you guys' support of the channel. That is greatly appreciated, and I always want to make sure I thank you for it. Other than that, for the rest of you, please consider liking, sharing, hyping, or perhaps even subscribing. And if you're already a subscriber, I want to thank you for that as well. But that is it for now. Comments, questions, you know what to do. Put them in the comment section. Otherwise, I will talk to you later. I'm Joe. This is Hexed Encountered. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.